Today we're going to be talking about client portals. How do you set them up? How do you navigate them? How do you design them? What are they great for? What are tips and tricks you can use with them? How can you mesh them with workflows? We're going to get into all that good stuff today. So let me share my screen and I'll pop this open here. And you guys should be able to see my screen. Like I said, this is an outline of today's webinar. If you're watching this later on YouTube, this will be in the description. Or like I said, for you on Big Marker Live right now, click on the handouts. You can download that and we'll jump in and get started. Awesome. Well, what is the goal for today? The goal for the webinar today is to walk away with an in-depth understanding on how to set up the portal and add content for your clients, add your own branding to the portal, navigate the portal successfully, so know what all the different tabs and everything inside the portal can do, and also learn creative ways on maximizing the portal use. So those are the things that I want to accomplish today. And when we walk away from the webinar, hopefully you guys have a better understanding on those bullet points. So a quick introduction before we jump into actually setting things up. A lot of people, when we get onto one-on-one calls or we're speaking with people, they ask the question, what is the client portal? They've either heard from friends, oh, Dubsado offers a client portal. They've heard about it or read articles on it, but they're not really sure what it is. Well, the client portal is a central location that allows your client to review and complete content that has either been sent via email or uploaded directly to it. So in other words, it's like a locker that puts the keys into the client's hands to view their projects, get contracts signed, forms completed, appointments scheduled, and invoices paid. You're basically giving your client a place to log into where they can review things that you've sent them, or if you've uploaded things in there, they can get those things filled out. So it's really about putting the responsibility in your client's hands to get things accomplished, so you're not constantly sending them things. They can log into their client portal and then have access to those things. There's some industries where you might have clients that say, hey, can you actually send me that contract that I signed? Or where can I find my invoice? Or where's that questionnaire? I want to make sure I get that filled out. The client portal is great for situations like that, because then you don't need to resend them material or go find an invoice that's in a project and send it out to them. It's just a place they can log in and they can see all of that information. So it takes a lot off of your plate as the business owner. So let's jump in and talk about setting up the client portal and how to do that. When a client is entered into Dubsado, so that means that as soon as they hit the address book, that could be if they filled out a lead capture form and now they're in the system, or you've manually entered them in. As soon as they are a part of the system, they automatically have a client portal set up. So you as the business owner, you don't need to go up or go into their address book and design this client portal or set it up for every single client. It's already there as soon as they get into the system. They are only made aware of the client portal once you send them the link and password. So even though a portal gets created as soon as they come into Dubsado, they have no idea that they have a client portal until you send them the link and password. That's the key with the client portal, is you as the business owner deciding when you're going to send them the way to log in. And we'll talk about that here. So there's a couple things that you'll need to do, basically 3 things you'll need to do in order to get that client access into the client portal. The first thing is activating the client portal. A client portal will need to be activated in order for the client to log in. And you can do this manually. You can do this automatically through the workflow and using the Action Activate portal. We'll talk about that last in the webinar today, is using client portals and workflows. But if we jump into Dubsado here, we'll just switch screens and then jump into a project in Dubsado. So with the client portal, down here on the left-hand side, on the side menu here, you'll see that it has the portal settings for that client. Now, we'll talk about what that means as far as what they can see in the portal and all of that, but their settings will be visible right here. And as you can see with this client, which is myself, This portal is not activated yet. So you can see clearly it says not active. What not active versus active means is that if your client has the ability to log in, you've sent them the link and password, this status here gives you the ability to decide whether or not you allow access in. So basically, you can turn the portal on and off even if they do have their link and password to get in. So it's just unlocking it and locking it basically. So all portals come set as not active. So what you would need to do first is you would click this little drop down next to portal and click activate. Now, when you click activate, it just basically unlocks the portal. However, it doesn't send anything out to the client just yet. It just basically turns it on. You're unlocking it so that once you give them access into the portal, they will have the ability to log in. You're basically opening that door and saying, yes, you are allowed into your portal. So first thing you'll need to do is activate the client portal. And if we jump back over to the outline here, and like I said previously, activating the client portal does not send an email out to the client, so you can activate a portal whenever you want to. You just want to make sure that when the client receives their link and password, that your portal is activated. You want to set that up ahead of time. It only turns on portal access so the client can log in once they have the link and password. Deactivating the client portal allows you to turn off client portal access even if they have the link and password. So on here now that this portal is activated, if I click this drop down again, you'll see that now there's some new options for you. You can view the client portal, you can send the client portal information to the client, and you can deactivate it. If you click deactivate, you'll see that it just changes that status. That's all it does. So we'll turn it back to activate so we know that it's on. And now the next thing we're going to talk about is the client portal password. So this is the next thing that you'll want to get set up before sending them out their information. So when you set up a client portal password, a client's default password once they're created is going to be their email address. So the best option to choose if you're wanting your process to be more automated is to have it be their email, because you don't need to manually create a password for them. So let me show you what that means here. In Dubsado, as you can see here, the password right here, there's nothing in there. It says click to set, which means that they don't have a specific password set up for them. So how it works in the system is if you don't have a password set up for them, then when they go to log into their client portal, they're going to just use their email address. So that means that if you're using workflows, if you're sending portal information to a client, if you want it to be 100% automated, then you can just leave this as is and they'll use their email to log in. Now, for some businesses, this works well. It's kind of more of a relaxed atmosphere. You don't need to have, a specific password for the client dealing with the people who you're dealing with. Some people, it's more of a relaxed atmosphere, and clients would feel comfortable just putting in their email address. Other industries, you might have to have a password set up for them, and it just makes you look more official doing it that way. So with this here, if I click on this, let's say that I set my password for Dubsado, and I'll check that box and set that as the password. Now that becomes the client password that they're going to use to log in. We don't have anything in Dubsado right now at this moment that will auto-generate a random password. So passwords, if you want a specific one, they have to be set manually right now. So take that into consideration with your workflows. Like I said, we'll get into that later when we're talking about integrating all this together. But once you have that password set up for them, it becomes their password. So if we jump back to the outline here, if you want things more automated, you can just leave it. It'll be their email. That way you don't have to manually set up anything for them. It would just be their email they would use to log in. So now that you have the portal activated, you have the password set up, whether you manually set it up or you just leave it as their email, you have that ready to go. The next thing is sending it out to the client now. So let's go back to Dubsado here. And now that we have a password set up, if we click this drop down and we click send, this is going to pop up an email composer that has their information to log into their client portal. So if we look at this email here, it says portal instructions for Cameron Macbeth and then brand, which is just my brand name. Hey, Cameron Macbeth, here's the link to your client portal. This is where you will see all of your emails and forms all in one place. Your password is Dubsado, and it autofills it and also puts a portal button for them to access the login page. Now, we do get a lot of questions on where is this email coming from, this generic email. If you go to templates and canned emails and then edit templates, this section right here of the email templates are going to be anytime that you're doing one of these actions. So sending an invoice, sending a contract, sending a form, sending a portal, these are going to be the default emails that always pop up when you're trying to do one of those actions or one of those actions is happening. It's the default email that pops up. So as you can see here, we're kind of looking at it side to side. Portal instructions for the client's name, which is me, hey client name, and then it has the instructions here. Your password is, and then it has the portal password smart field bracket. What this bracket is going to do right here is autofill whatever their password is. So if I have a specific password, as you can see here for that project, it will autofill that. If I removed that password and it was just their email, it would autofill their email. So the safest way to go whenever you're sending portal information is just to use this smart field bracket here. And then you'll also want to make sure that you have your client portal link smart field. If you have that in there, that's what's going to generate this button for the client to click on is your portal link smart field. So where you can find these is underneath smart field, link, and then right here you'll find the link and then the password. You want to make sure anytime you're sending an email out to them, whether it's through a workflow, whether you create one as a custom email that you're going to use, you have to make sure that you have a link and the password in there, so that way they have both, because they're going to need both of those in order to log in. You can't just have a link and then not put in their password. You want to have both of those in there. So in this default email, that's how it's knowing what the password is and what that specific client portal link information is with those smart field links. So you can edit this email if you want to. Underneath the canned emails, if you want to generate your own and put in your own link and password to customize it, you can do that. But that's going to be how it's going to recognize what to actually send that client. So if I click this drop down, click send, this portal, when they click on that, is going to take them to the login page. So that's going to be how you can send your client portal information to your client. If you do it in the workflow, you would just create your own email and plug that into the workflow, and then that would send it to them whenever you have your trigger set up. So that's how you can send it. Again, I have in here the default portal email is under templates, canned emails, edit templates. So you have that in there. If you want to go in and edit that, if you don't mind just sending that as is, you can use that. So let's actually log into the client portal here so we can take a look at how to design it, and then we'll get into navigating and all of that. So if you pay attention to this portal button here, if a client were to click on that, it will take them to the login screen. So what you can do as a business owner is if you click this drop down and click view, this will take you to the client portal's login page. So when a client is clicking that portal button, it takes them to this screen. You as the business owner can do the exact same thing. So you don't have to set up a test project necessarily in order to see what a client portal looks like. You can go into any client's portal that you want to at any time. Just click view, type in their password, and it will take you into their client portal so that you can view what it is that they're seeing whenever they log in. So here it's set up for the password. So I'm going to use Dubsado since that's the password I have set up. Click login, and this will take you to the client portal. Now, there's a lot going on here. So I want to break this down step by step so that you guys understand what you're seeing, what you can customize, what's located in here. We'll get into all of this. So the first thing that I want to talk about is designing the client portal, because a lot of people like the idea of the client portal because they can put their own branding into everything. So let's jump over to the outline here, and we're going to talk about designing the client portal. In Dubsado, underneath the settings menu, if we click on settings, and then we'll go to the portal tab, this is going to be where you can customize everything in your client portal. So the first thing I want to do is, as you can see in this client portal, it's highly customized with its own banner, colors, and all of that. But I want to talk about each piece that you can customize first. So what I have, and this you can see the portal settings here, what I have that I'm going to show you is a zoomed in view of the portal settings, and I want to talk about each one of these. Now, these images are directly from our help article that my colleague Sam put together. So shout out to her. She kind of designed this so that it's really easy to follow along with. So I want to break down each one of these things here so that you understand what you can customize and what it links to in the client portal. So the first thing is the welcome message. So portal welcome message. If we flip over here, I have just a picture of a client portal so you can see what each one does. And then we'll talk about, cool customizing tips that you can do. So the first thing is the welcome message. As you can see here, it says portal welcome message. In the portal settings, whatever you type into that section there is what's going to generate in the top left-hand corner. So if you want to use just the default message that pops up, I believe it says welcome to your client portal is the default one, but you can put any message here. One thing I do want to mention here, because we do get questions about this, is that what should be located in here inside the client portal. This is going to be for your branding. So every client is going to see this exact outline or this exact layout whenever they log in. So in this area here, you don't want to put welcome Kevin because every client will see that. So you want this message to be something that's related to your branding, like welcome to Dubsado or welcome to your brand, because it's going to be what everybody sees when they log in. So portal welcome message will be in the top left there. You can hide that welcome message. You don't have to have that show if you don't want to. If you want to remove this little message up here, feel free to. The next thing we'll talk about is the portal projects label override. So in Dubsado, if we jump back over to this client portal, this second tab, the projects tab, and we'll get into actually the functionality of it, but the projects label right there can be edited. When you first have a client portal, it's set to projects, but we realize that there's a lot of different industries and the term projects might not resonate with other industries. So what you can do is you can actually change that to say whatever you want it to say. You could change it to, if you're a coach, you could change it to sessions, or if you are in photography, you could change it to sessions as well, maybe, where anytime that you do a session with them, they can see all of those different projects in there. So you can update that name to be whatever you want it to be, whatever makes sense for your industry. So you can see projects label, that's what it is in the client portal. Portal specific logo. So in the client portal, up here at the top, you can have your own logo display in the client portal. And we're going to talk about sizing. We'll go back to our outline and talk about sizing and everything. But you can have your own logo display up at the top, and you can pick what logo you want to be up there at the top. Now, we also have the ability to hide that as well. If you don't like the logo here, if you don't like that being up in the top left, or you want to just remove it completely, you don't have to have it there. You can also remove that in the settings where it says hide logo in your portals. You can remove that. The next thing we'll talk about is the portal banner. Now, up across the top of the client portal, you'll see this banner across the top. Now, that banner is going to be whatever color it is that you want to design it. So if we go back to the client portal settings here, you'll see right up here where it says portal banner color. So let's say you're in an industry where you just want to have a solid color. You don't necessarily need an image in there. You just want it to be a color. You can always update that color here, and that will reflect in the client portal. On the flip side, what else you can do is you can upload an actual image into that banner area right here where it says upload. So if you don't want it to be a solid color, you can pick a banner and then put that in there so that it will take up the space up across the top. So that's possible. With this as well, we also have it set up where you can also do a mobile device banner. So that means if someone's opening this up on a mobile device, you can have a different banner if you want to, or just a different sized banner. It could be the same thing as your normal portal banner, but just a different size. And you can upload that as well. So there are 2 different banners you can have depending on what type of device a client is opening this up on. The next thing is the portal banner color. Now, this is going to be related to what your welcome message is. So if we look at this particular client portal, you'll notice that this is white up here. So the portal banner text color, you can change that if you would like to. So that will be right here, the portal banner font color. Then the portal summary header color. So if we go back to the client portal, that will be these tabs here. These are the different headers that we have, and you can customize the look of all of those, put whatever color you want in there. This one's been kind of Dubsado-fied, where we have a lot of Dubsado coloring in there, but you want it to be maybe the accent color of your brand. That'll make some things pop out and give you some variation. And then you can also change the header font color. So the text inside of the headers, you can change that color as well. So those are the customizations you can make to the client portal. And let me jump back to my outline so we can talk about pixel sizes. So if we scroll down here, and I put those images in the outline here so you guys can have those to review those. But let's talk about portal size or portal pixel size recommendations. For the portal banner, we recommend 1800 by 200 for your portal banner across the top. For a larger screen, if you're used to seeing the portal banner on a larger screen, we recommend 2700 by 300. So that would probably be maybe a desktop versus laptop, depending on which one you're normally looking at. You can make the distinctions there to see which one you like better. For the mobile devices, we recommend 700 by 400. And for your portal logo, the one that's in the top left-hand corner, we recommend 200 by 100. So those are all of the pixel recommendations we have for that. Again, you might play around with some things and kind of restructure, reorder things, but those are our upfront recommendations for the pixel sizes. Now, some tips for you guys. A lot of people, when they are talking about client portals and we're on the phone with people, they ask if you can adjust the size of the logo. They don't like that it's that small. There's not a way to adjust the size of the logo, but what I recommend doing is actually going into your settings and hiding the logo in the portals. Just remove it completely and then put your logo in the banner that you have. So if we go to the client portal, what I did here, and you can kind of see that what I did was I removed the welcome message, so I don't have that in there. I removed the portal logo, so that's not in there. And so now what you can see is I have my logo that I just put in the actual image of the banner, and then I just wrote my own message on that same picture. So use that kind of combination. If you don't like the way that the welcome message looks or the sizing of it or the logo size, just remove all of that off of your client portal and just put in a banner that you like. And that way you can have your logo size as big as you want it. The welcome message, you can have that wherever you want it placed. And then you can put it in that way. So, customize that how you want to, add in your own colors, all that good stuff. So the next thing, I just want to make sure I cover everything. Oh, yes. So the next thing I want to talk about, we get this question a lot too, is can each client have their own banner? And the answer to that is yes. You can have a different banner for each client. Now, if we go into Dubsado here and we go into utilities and address book, what you can do with your different clients that you have, we'll jump into my profile here in the address book, is you'll see here that there's a space where you can upload your own portal banner per client. So technically, what you could do if you really wanted to make it extremely custom and granular, you could technically with each client put in the own banner that might say, you know, welcome to your client portal, Kevin, and have that as an actual banner, and just remove the portal title or the welcome message that pops up. You could definitely do that if you wanted to. This, whatever you upload into the portal banner here, that will override whatever your global settings are. So the color scheme will remain the same for the headers that you have, but you can have a specific portal banner for each client if you want to. That's available for you. You don't have to, but if you do want to make it very custom for each client, you could do that. So the last thing that I want to talk about before we move on to just navigating everything inside of the portal is to talk about sharing the client portal on your website. And that's also on the settings page. So let me jump back over there really quickly. So once you've done your customizations, and you can kind of see from this screen what I did, I hid the welcome message, hid the logo in the portals. I titled this differently. I titled it folders, and you'll see why once we get into navigating. But now I uploaded my own portal banner. My colors are all in here. And now we're going to talk about links and embedding this portal. So there are two ways that you can get your portal information to a client. The first way is just by emailing it to the client, which we kind of talked about earlier. You can embed your portal login on your website, and you can send a public portal link if you want to. So these two options here, you can either take this portal link and just send it to anybody and they can log in, or you can embed your client portal login on your website. So if you are in an industry where it makes sense that people can go to your website, log into their client portal, you can absolutely embed this on your website. However, if you're using this where you're either sending out the portal link to somebody, just a public link, or you're embedding it on your website, a client has to have a client portal password. You can't just have their email be what it is to log in. You have to set up a specific password, because what happens is if I were to copy this and paste this in a browser, what ends up happening is it asks for the client's email address first, and then it asks for their password. So it's that extra layer of protection. So if you decide that you want to embed it or you want to send out the public link, you have to have a specific password. It adds a little extra layer of security so that no one can just type in an email address and access people's information. They have to have both in order to log in. So that's very important if you're using these two methods. If you're sending it via email, it's not using a public URL for the client portal. It's a client-specific URL that no one else can access unless they use that specific link and that email. So that's how the embedding and all of that works. So now let's jump into the actual client portal and talk through all of these different tabs, what each thing does, and everything like that. So we'll start with the Home tab. With the Home tab, this is going to be when a client logs in, whatever I'm seeing right now is what the client can see. There's no difference. So there's not really a business owner client view or a client portal view or a client view. There's none of that. It's all the same view. So in here, underneath the Home tab, this is going to show the client when they first log in everything that needs their immediate attention. So anything that is very pertinent right now that either needs to be filled out, signed, upcoming appointments, all that good stuff is going to be on this home page. So up across the top, these different headers that we talked about, the first one is going to be business info. Now your brand name is going to be at the top so they know what your brand name is. And then your email is going to be there so people can email you if they have your email. And then your phone number will be located underneath there. Now this is pulling from the settings menu. If you don't want your phone number to be in there, then remove it out of the settings in the branding section, so that way they can't see a phone number. But I did put it in there so that you can understand what's in there. So that's going to be the business info section. And then these other 3 tabs are going to show the client things that they've missed or they haven't tapped into just yet. So unread emails, if they have emails they haven't read that you've sent them, incomplete forms that they haven't filled out, and open invoices that they still need to pay on. This is going to show all the things that they need to do or that they haven't gotten to yet. So it's very apparent when you log in what the client needs to do. Now, what can show on this front page here? I have everything that can possibly be shown on this front page. The first thing is appointments. If a client has an upcoming appointment that they've booked with you through a Dubsado scheduler, all of their upcoming appointments will show here, and it'll have their information on what time it is. If you have a description of the appointment, like location and all of that, that will show in there. If you have unsigned contracts, those will show up in there. So a client can click in here, sign a contract directly from this page. Open invoices. If there's invoices they haven't paid on, they can access those. Incomplete forms that they need to fill out, those will be in there. So these 4 things, and if they have more than just one of each, but this is what can show on this main page here: upcoming appointments, unsigned contracts, open invoices, and incomplete forms. So they have access to all these things, and as long as an invoice isn't paid, it will always show up here so they can see, oh, I still need to make a payment. So that will be there. So that's the home page. That's everything that needs the most attention from the client right now. The next tab that we're going to click into is the folder section or the project section. This is going to be where all of the projects that you have with the client, every project, including archived projects, are going to be located in the client portal. Now, why is it called the client portal? Is because it's not, why is it not called the project portal? Is because it has everything from the client in there. So it has all projects in there. So if we go to Dubsado here, let's go to the projects page and we can kind of talk about what's being brought into the client portal. As you can see on my projects page, I have one client, myself, that has 2 different projects, project number 1 and project number 2. So if you are brand new to Dubsado and this is your first time watching a webinar, you can have multiple projects for a client. If you're a photographer, you could have a maternity session, and then you could have a newborn session, and then a family session. You can have all of those as separate projects in Dubsado. Same thing if you're a coach, you could have each time they have a new coaching program, or if you're a designer, you could have a web design project and then also a maintenance project. You can have it set up that way so each one of these things are put into different folders. So how it works in the client portal is every single project that you've had with that client, and like I said, including archived projects, all of those will be located underneath the folders tab here, or projects tab if you left it how it was. When they click this drop down, all of their projects are going to pop up here. So what this means is that if you are using the client portal as a business owner, there's a couple things you want to pay attention to. One is project naming. As you can see, whatever the project title is for that client, that's what it's going to show up as in the client portal. So you don't want to have some goofy name as your project title, or maybe you put in the project title that you hate working with this client or something like that. If they have a client portal, that's going to show in their client portal. So it's really important, if you are using the client portal, to develop a solid naming convention that you want to use for all of your projects, because when the client logs in and they click this drop down, you want for the client to be able to easily identify each one of those projects and what's inside of it. So think about your industry. Think about how you would want your client to be able to break down each project or each folder. So if we click into, let's say, project number 2, I don't have anything in this project right now, so it's blank. If I click on project 1, now it has everything from that project in there. So it breaks it down by folder. So the other thing you need to pay attention to is, how do you want to divide up your folders? On our outline that we have here, I have a little blurb here so it can help you guys out. Projects are considered folders in the client portal. They just have everything inside of them, each individually, and each folder has specific information and content inside. Project titles are visible in the client portal. It's important to title the projects how you would like the clients to see them. So think about what separates one project from the next project. Is it by different year? There are some bookkeepers that I've talked to where they just start a new project each year they work with somebody. So that way, when they go in the client portal, they click it, they can see all of their 2019 information, all of their 2020. Is it broken down by month? So each month you create a new project for them. Is it by the package or the service? You have to kind of think about how you want to separate your packages. What's going to be the marker that cuts off one project from going into the next project? So that way, when they're in their client portal, they can clearly identify the cutoff points. So it could be by sessions, different things like that. So that's going to be the two things that you would want to pay attention to when you are thinking about projects: is when does it cut off, and then how do you want to name them? So now let's talk about all the things that can be inside of a project. What can you put inside of a project that shows up in the client portal? The first thing are appointments. So we kind of already talked about that. On the home page, you'll see the upcoming appointments, but inside the folder itself, if we go to project number 1, it's going to have that appointment in there, so they can see that as well. They can also reschedule from here or cancel if they want to. The appointment schedulers. So it is possible for you to upload a scheduler into the client portal where a client can click on this and they can make an appointment with you. So you can have appointment schedulers inside of the client portal and they can book with you whenever you want them to. So this is really great for coaches. If you just wanted to upload a scheduler into their portal and then just have it in there, they can go in whenever they want to and book an appointment with you. So that's possible to upload in there. The invoices. Now, with Dubsado invoices, how it works is that once you create an invoice in Dubsado, it automatically is available in their client portal. So with invoices, you don't send invoices to the client portal. Once you create one, it's available in their client portal. So take that into consideration when you're doing your invoice building and when you send them their portal information, because once you create an invoice, it's available in their client portal. So just kind of time out when you want things to happen there. The next thing is contracts. We talked about that. You have a whole contract section that they can look there. Now let's talk about the documents, because there's a couple things in here that you can do. The first thing we'll talk about is the questionnaires, proposals, sub-agreements, the Dubsado forms that you create and you either send via email or you upload things in there. We'll talk about getting things into the portal next. But with the documents, these are going to be all of your other types of forms besides contracts. So sub-agreements, proposals, questionnaires, all of those will be in the document section. The other thing that you can put in there are external links. So as you can see here, I have this little icon with a link in there. What you can do with Dubsado in the client portal is you can upload what's called a one-time link into the client portal, and we'll talk about that next. But what this will do here, if I click on this, is it's going to take you directly to whatever URL you uploaded into their client portal. So it will upload it in there for you. And then you can also upload PDFs, and these PDFs are going to be like read-only PDFs. So it's not going to be PDFs that can be filled out or anything like that. It's going to be more informative information that you can just upload PDFs in there if you want to. So that's what's going to make up the document section, is your normal Dubsado forms, any PDFs that you've uploaded, and then also external URLs or links that you've uploaded in there. And so that's going to make up the document section. And then the last thing that we have is the task boards. So if you're not familiar with Dubsado, you do have the ability to create task boards. and you can create those underneath the task section. Now, we won't get into creation of task boards and all that stuff because I've done webinars completely on task boards. So I would recommend going to our YouTube channel, checking out the task board video that I did, and that'll talk about creating them and all of that good stuff. But it is possible to upload a task board into the client portal and share it with your client. So if I click on this and I have a task board created, all of this is going to pull up in the client portal, and a client can go through, they can mark things complete, they can add tasks for themselves, make edits. So you can share a task board with a client, and it will be a joint board between you and the client. So they can, go in and create tasks, they can mark things complete, you can, and it's a joint board that you can share. And how you can do that is in their project. If we jump over there, I do want to at least show you this portion. Underneath the task section, if you go to the project boards area here and you add in any of the project boards you've created, this little drop down arrow is going to give you some privacy settings for your task boards. If you click on that, you can decide if you want your task boards to just be for the admin and the assigned user, so it's just internal, or if you want to share it with the client portal. That's going to be how you can get those task boards into the client portal and share it with them. So that's a way. A lot of people ask, is there a way I can have my client, complete some tasks? That's going to be the way to do it, is by sharing a task board in the client portal. So those are the different things you can put into the client portal. Now let's talk about actually getting them in there. How do you do that? So the remainder of this webinar, we're going to talk about manually putting these things in there, and then also how you can do it via workflow, some of the things you can put in there that way. So if we go back to the outline here, so now we're going to talk about forms, contracts, and one-time PDFs, because those are all pretty much the same as far as uploading content manually. So if we go into a project here, and let's go to the Forms tab, as you can see, I have a lot of different things already in there. So I'll show you how I did those things. With a form, let's say you're sending a questionnaire, a sub-agreement, proposal, anything like that, and you just want to upload it into the client portal. What you can do is click this drop down, and I have, let's say, a coaching intake form, and I'll click on that. Once you have this pulled up here, if you click this little drop down arrow next to add, you can add it directly into the client portal if you want to. It sends it straight into the portal manually. That means you don't need to make any edits to this, nothing like that. You just want to send it directly into the portal. You can do that really quickly that way. The other thing you can do, let's say you have this form here, but you also want to make edits to it before you send it to the client portal. What you can do is you can click add and add it to the project. Now, what you'll see here is that it made a copy of your master template and added it into this project. And now if we exit out of here, we're just going to close out of this window, you'll see that it says needs sending. So that means that it's just sitting in this project. The client doesn't have access to it yet. It's not in the client portal. You haven't sent it via email. It's just sitting in this project. So what you can do now is you can make edits to it. You can click the edit button, or you can click apply to portal and send it to the portal. When you click apply to portal, it's going to update that form to sent. Now, a lot of people might have done that, uploaded something to the client portal, and they see the sent button and they panic because they think to themselves, did I email this to the client? But anytime that you see that sent badge on there, it means one of two things. Either you uploaded it to the client portal and the client doesn't have access to it just yet, maybe, or you've sent it via email. And you can always verify that by checking the emails tab here, and you can see what's been actually emailed to the client. So if you see a form in here that is sent but no email verifying that you emailed it, that means that it went to the client portal. So that's how you can kind of use that sent badge to diagnose what's going on. So with forms, you can do it that way. With a PDF, you can drop a PDF into here and then do the same thing, click apply to portal. And again, these PDFs can only be read-only PDFs. So It's not going to be, things that can be filled out. It's only informative PDFs that you can drop in there and send to the client portal. And contracts is the same way. If you want to add it in there, you can add it directly to the portal. That's how you would manually add forms into the client portal there. The next thing we're going to talk about is creating that one-time link. Now, if we go to the client portal, you saw where we had that Dubsado link in there that when you click on that, it goes to whatever URL you have set up. So let me show you how to do that. If you click on the forms drop down in the form section here, and you scroll past your master templates that you have, you'll run into something down here that's called create one-time link. And when you click on that, that's going to open up this modal here where you can put in the information. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set one up so you can see how to do it. If I click on the title of the link, let's just say I type in Google. And then for the URL, I'm just going to do google.com. Really straightforward, and we'll click add. Once you do that, again, it says needs sending. So from here, you can either send it via email if you wanted to. Really cool if you just want to email a link to somebody. You can also click apply to portal. And then when we refresh our page, that's going to change it to sent. So that way you'll know that it's got sent to the client portal. If I jump to my client portal now, I'm going to refresh my page so that it brings in the new information. And now when I scroll down, you'll see that now there's the Google link. So when I click on that, it takes me directly to Google. So that's how you can put in, let's say, Dropbox links, Google Drive links, Pinterest boards, YouTube videos, Vimeo videos, anything that has a link to it. You can put that in the client portal for coaches. If you have Kajabi links or Teachable, if you have anything like that, that's how you can connect all of that outside world into their client portal. So you can use this however you really see fit, but all you'll do is just use that create one-time link option. And that way, I know for our one-on-one calls that we do at Dubsado, so we do free 30-minute calls that you can have with us. What we do is we record those calls, and then we come into the form section. Once we're done with those calls, we use Join Me for our calls, and we click create one-time link. We title this like one-on-one call. And then we paste in the link to that call and we upload it into a client portal for you guys as users. So that way, if there's anything that we cover on a call, you can immediately go in, click on that link, and then watch and rewatch our session if you need to. So that's just different ways that you can think about using it to include that into the client experience. That will really enhance a lot of things if you add a few of those, little tips and tricks in there. So there's create a one-time link. And like I said, perfect for YouTube videos, all that good stuff. Questionnaire file uploader. So another thing that you can do, we get this question a lot as well, is can I just upload images into the client portal or Word documents, Excel spreadsheets? We don't have the ability to do that at the moment. So what you can do is you can either do the one-time link method and do Google Drive, Dropbox, all that good stuff. Or the other option is if we click here, and I'm going to go into that coaching intake form that I have. What we have on questionnaires, proposals, what you can do is use what's called a file uploader. And if we scroll down here, I have one down here at the bottom. So what you can do is you can use a questionnaire or a proposal as the vehicle to have clients upload things into the client portal. It's not directly to the portal, but they're uploading those things to a form, and then you can extract it off of there. So if we go into the client portal, let's say we have this coaching intake form. What a client can do is they can open this up, they can go into the form, and they can add in files from their computer into this specific form. They can upload those. Now, with the file uploader, there's some stipulations with this. One, there's a 5 megabyte limit per file. So you can't do huge movie files or things like that, but you can do Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, pictures, PDFs, all that good stuff. You can put all of that into this file uploader here. You can also have as many files as you want to in here. So there's not a limit on the amount of files, just on the quantity of the or the size of each file, and that's 5 megabytes per file that you can upload into the file uploader. So this is a great way if you might say, I want my client to upload photos or upload a Word document, things like that. Just throw a file uploader onto one of your forms, and when they get this, they can upload those files. When you get it back, you can open up that form and you can extract that information off of that questionnaire. Another cool thing that you can do is you can do this vice versa. So imagine for a second that you are my client and I'm sending this out to you. What I can do as the business owner is what I'm doing right now. I can go into the client portal, I can click choose files to upload, and I can upload my own documents into the client portal. So that way, when you get it as the client, you can have a lot of the files that I uploaded in there. So if I need to send you Word documents or photos or different things like that, before I send you your portal information, I can go into a questionnaire, upload those things onto the form, and then send you your client portal information. So that way, once the client opens it up, now you have all of those files that you wanted to upload in there. So that's another way that you can use questionnaires to your advantage. A cool thing about questionnaires, just a little added little bit here for you. Questionnaires are live documents in Dubsado. And by that, I mean that once someone saves a draft or once they send a questionnaire, it's not completely closed off where you can't go back and edit things. It's a live document. So you can always come into a questionnaire and make edits. You can always go in, you can, delete files off of here, upload more files on there. It's a live document, so you can use it as such. But that's going to be how you can basically upload different pieces of content into the client portal there. So the last thing that we're going to talk about is client portals and workflows. So now we talked about just manually uploading things to the client portal. Now, how can we tie all this into a workflow process standpoint? So with client portals and workflows, what you can do in the client portal, in the workflow, is you can use the option. If we go to workflows here, and I don't have any workflows built, but I do want to show you what you can do. If we come in here, we'll just call this just a general workflow. Inside of a client workflow that you have, and you're adding an action in, and let's say that you're wanting to send a form out to the client, just a normal form. What you can do here is underneath the options, you have the ability to click apply to portal. And what that's going to do is it's not going to email something out to the client. It's just going to apply something to the client portal only. If you look at the option above, it says send email and apply to portal. Because remember in the beginning, we talked about anything that's sent via email is automatically available in the client portal. You don't have to do both. Once you send it via email, it's already in the portal. But what you can do, because I know a lot of you guys, you may need to send multiple forms to a client at one time, but with our workflow, you can only do one form at a time. So a great way to kind of bypass all that is to just do apply to portal. You can pick your form. So if I pick my coaching intake form, I can use the workflow to basically front load the client portal. I can have it send 4, 5, 6, 7 documents into the client portal and then follow it up with an email saying, hey, now you can log into your client portal. So this is the method that you can use to automatically upload forms into the client portal. Now, with that being said, if you see this drop down, this is only going to show your questionnaires, your proposals, and your sub-agreements. So the one-time links, like if you want to do the Google Drive or the Dropbox, if you want to do the PDFs that are specific for each client, that's all going to have to be manual. However, there is one thing that you can do if you have a PDF that's meant for everybody, you want everybody to get it. You can, in the template section underneath forms, you can click this little up arrow in the questionnaire section, and you can drop a PDF in and use that as a Dubsado template in your workflows. So if it's a form that you need everybody to get, you can just drop it in there and then use that in your workflow and send it to the client portal automatically. Like if you're in photography and you have like a what to wear form that you want to send to somebody, things like that you can upload into the client portal. So with the workflows, using that apply to portal option basically allows you to front load that client portal with as much information as you want to, and then you can send out a client portal email. And we'll talk about examples here in a second. 2 more tips and then we'll move into the 2 examples and we'll be done for the day. So there's not an action to send portal information to a client. So when we're in a workflow here and we click the workflow, and we'll jump into that same workflow here. If we click add action, there's no action that we have in this drop down that says send, client portal information to the client. We don't have anything like that. So what you'll need to do is, if you're sending an email, you want to make sure that that email has the link and password in there. If you're sending a form, let's say, you still want to make sure you have that link and password smart field in there. So once you click this drop down and click activate portal, remember when we talked about doing that manually, there's not a way for once you activate a portal, it sends information to the client. It just turns it on. So you have to have an email set up that has that information in there for the client to actually receive the link and password to get in there. Activate portal is just basically a primer that kind of sets the portal up, and then you send them out an email with the information in there. So the next thing too, one last thing, is that there's also not a way to automatically have a password created. We talked about that earlier. So what I normally recommend doing is creating a to-do for yourself in the workflow to remind you to set that password before you email out the information to the client. So there's not a way in the workflow to have a password automatically generate. It has to be manually done. So I always recommend a to-do there. If you want to have a more automated experience, like what we talked about earlier, then just be comfortable with it being their email. You don't have to add that step into your workflow, and it will just send out an email with just their email address in there as what they would use to log in. So those are a couple tips there with the workflow. Now I want to talk about some cool examples to kind of spark your creativity on how you can use workflows and client portals together in some cool ways. So let's look at this first example here. In this first example, what's happening, and I just want to make sure, okay, it is popping up. Excellent. So with this example here, I'll kind of walk through each step. The first thing it's doing is activating the client portal. So wherever this is at in your process, you activate the client portal first, and then immediately after it's activated, it's setting the client portal password. It's a to-do that I've created to remind me to do that. So in this to-do, I have set client portal password for client name, and I used a smart field so it auto generates their name in there so I know who to set it for. So it activates the portal, creates a to-do for me to set their portal password so I don't forget. And now these 3 forms here, send form, the proposal, this questionnaire, this photo release, all 3 of these things here, all of those have applied to portal in the background. So what's happening is it activates it. I set the password, mark that done, that I got that done. Now the workflow uploads those 3 forms to the portal. And then the last piece is it sends out the email. I put an approve button on there so I decide when it goes out. Then I have a welcome to your client portal email that goes out to them. All of these 5 steps in the background, they basically are running, and the client has no idea that they even have a client portal to begin with. This is the best method to use if you have a lot of things that the client needs to get, especially with coaches. If there's a lot of things that the client needs to fill out to get started with you, this is the best thing to do, is to kind of front load that portal with the apply to portal option. So that's one method for your client portals and how you can kind of use it. The next thing, this is a more advanced technique, but just to show you what's possible, I wanted to kind of put something like this together so you can see what you could do here. So in this client portal kind of workflow area here, what I have first is apply or activate the portal, same as the last one, then set up the client portal password, same as the other workflow. Then what I have is I have a homework module. Let's say I take a questionnaire and I kind of turn it into some type of, homework that they need to fill out. I have this set up where it's going to upload that to the client portal. Then I send out an email to them saying, welcome to your client portal. So in this email, I'm letting the client know you have your first homework module in your client portal. Please log in, fill it out. Now, in the background, I get excited about this stuff. In the background, what I have set up here is after they finish their module 1, so after they get that module completed, I have module 2 getting uploaded into the client portal. So they fill out that first module, the workflow can see that, and once it's done, I have this going into the portal. So it's applying that to the client portal. Once it's done that, I have an email going out after saying module 2 is now available. So now in the background, the workflow is doing all of this automatically. I'm not touching this at this point. Now, I have it set up where once they finish module 2, module 3 is going to get uploaded into their client portal, and then an email goes out saying module 3 is available. Same thing, once they finish module 3, module 4 gets uploaded and then sends them an email. This is a great way to use the client portal if you kind of need to stack things slowly into their client portal. You can either batch it all in at one time and just put everything in there, or if you kind of want to do more of a drip sequence where once they get one form filled out, it uploads the next one and then shoots them an email. Once they get that one done, it uploads the next one, shoots them an email after that. You can use the portal to do something like this. Now, the cool part about this workflow is that the only thing that I've had to do in this workflow is set their portal password and approve for this email to go out. Once that's done, the workflow is going to work through the rest of these actions here, and it's going to recognize when a form gets done and then upload the next one and then send an email. So that's another kind of cool way that you can use the apply to portal option to your advantage whenever you're using your workflow sequencing.